Good afternoon. We are with Danielle Sutcliffe from DS Wills this afternoon to give some property advice and ask us some questions. Danielle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, first question we've got for you is, does the way I own the property, jointly or tenants in common, matter?
Yes, it does. The reason being is because if you jointly own a property with somebody else, that property will pass via the law of survivorship, which means that it will automatically pass to that person that you own the property with. If you own the property as tenants in common and you have a share of that property, it won't automatically pass to the person that owns the other share. So it's incredibly important that a will is put in place so you can direct your share to your beneficiaries.
Great, excellent. And we are considering moving house. Should we update our will? When do we update our wills?
Yes, so moving property, absolutely. It's recommended that you would update your will at that moment in time, more so that we can make sure that your will is reflective of your life as it stands at the moment and your address is up to date, but also so that we can take into consideration as there being a change within your estate valuation that might mean that we now need to start looking at potential inheritance tax liabilities and plan for that.
Great. And so if I've got a mortgage on the property that I own and I pass away, do the debts die with me?
No, so this is a common misconception and I hear this a lot. So the mortgage would still need to be paid and it needs to be paid off from your estate when you pass away. So it's always advisable to have relevant life insurance, things like that in place to be able to cover mortgage in the eventuality that you pass away, just to make sure that it doesn't essentially bankrupt your estate.
Great, excellent. And so if I want my children to inherit the house when I die, but I'm worried that what might happen if my spouse, partner that's left behind remarries, what would I be doing there, or what does that mean to the outcome?
This is a common question and it's a concern of a lot of families that I speak to and a lot of couples, because if you gift your estate on first death to your spouse in its entirety, if they remarry, a remarriage invalidates an earlier will. If that surviving spouse does not update their will and they pass away without one in place, the first person to make a claim on the estate is new spouse. In this instance, you can unintentionally disinherit your own children throughout the correct provision in a will. So what you can do instead is you can put provisions by way of a trust within your will that can make sure that at least your proportion of the estate is ring-fenced for your children or other named beneficiaries.
Great. So I imagine a lot of people perhaps don't have a will because they think it's going to be complicated to do, expensive to do. Is it either?
No, so it's not a complex process. What's involved is normally an initial consultation by telephone to find out a little bit more about somebody's wishes and what they would like to achieve from their will. I would also look at their estate valuation and see whether or not there is any inheritance tax liability that we need to account for. Do they have any concerns such as remarriages after death and things like that? I would then go out and see them at home, at work, at a time that suits them, take their will instructions during one appointment, and I go back again to sign the will and everything's all done. So I am there to make the process as smooth as possible and take away any stress from the situation.
Great stuff. And is any will better than no will?
No. So a DIY will, if done terribly bad, it can cause a whole host of issues after you've gone, and ultimately the people that are going to have to pick up the pieces are your friends and family who are set to inherit. It can cause a whole host of problems such as arguments within families. It's strongly advisable that if you are going to have a will put in place, that you have it done by a professional who has got the suitable knowledge and experience to be able to advise you correctly on your situation.
Great stuff. And so if you want advice on wills, what is the best way to contact or get in touch with you?
Please get in touch by phone, by email. You can contact me on Facebook, but I'm always available, so please don't hesitate to get in touch.
Marvellous stuff.